What's going on, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Heat Check. I appreciate all the producers for submitting their beats to the show. Apologize for it's like a little over 5 minute delay. Had a couple tech issues with OBS. So I apologize about that. Make sure my mic is plugged in. All right. So, for those of you who don't know, what is the Heat Check? Well, first of all, who am I and why should you be listening to me on this Heat Check live beat review show? My name is Desmond A. Been producing for over 10 years now. Have music on networks such as Bravo, Sci-Fi Channel, E-Television. Work with different independent recording artists. Very talented. Recorded some artists. Just made beats for some artists. Because the world of production is starting to get, kind of blended together. Engineering, making beats, production. Those worlds are starting to collide, especially in the world of AI. I want you guys to make sure you're learning recording as well as making beats. But I digress. I want to thank all the producers for submitting their beats to the Heat Check show. I am very appreciative for you guys sending your beats, allowing me to give you feedback and helping you grow as a music producer. So I want to also give a shout out to the chat, everyone in the chat who's joined the Heat Check show. If you came in early or right on time, I still appreciate you for showing up to the show. Now, how does the Heat Check work? So, you submit your beats. The form is currently closed, but as soon as this live stream is over, you'll be able to go ahead and submit your beats for next Sunday's show. Then I'll go ahead and review it. So, as of now, it's closed. As soon as this show is over, it takes about an hour. Then you'll be able to submit your beats for next week's show. Now, when it comes to feedback, I play about a minute and a half of each producer's beats, and I give my feedback. And here at the Heat Check show, what we do as producers is we give constructive criticism. So there's no roasting, no snapping on producers. Understand, we give direct feedback that's there to help them. Not just, that ain't it, or, that's whack. Give people actionable tips on how that they can grow. You need to fix those drums. The melody is clashing with the 808. I want some harder snares. Their arrangement is a bit off. Try getting rid of that lead sound. So we want to give producers actionable items that they can use to help themselves grow. So that way they can put that in their back pocket, grow, and use that on their next cook-up session. So no snapping, but we still give direct and honest feedback. I'm going to give my feedback, and of course, producers in the live chat, they're going to give their feedback, and also in the comments, give your feedback as well. And I also want you to network. This show is not about me, it's about growing the community. So if you want to share your IG, cool with that. You want to share your beat stars, anything you want to share to help you get your name out there, I am cool with it. This is a community-based ecosystem that I'm creating here. So I wanted to go ahead and give that information out. Yo, and we have Zenix Beats. Zenix Beats, I don't think you're submitted. I don't have you on my queue list for this week's show, but if you go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube, as soon as the show is over, the form is going to open. I'm going to make a community post so you can click the link, submit for next Sunday's show, and I'll go ahead and give you some feedback, help you grow your career, help you impress those recording artists you're working with, your homies, songwriters, other producers, everything you need. So subscribe. Look out for that community post after the show. Submit your beats, and I'll be glad to help you out on your music production journey. So, shout out to you, and I hope everything gets better with you. I see that your comment there. I want things to get better for you. Just take things one step at a time, little by little, step by step. Your life can get better. Just take baby steps. Quick wins. put that quick win in your back pocket and take another baby step. So that's how you can grow your life to get to a higher level. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get here into FL Studio so we can go ahead and review these producers' beats. So, the first producer that we have here, we have Iceyy. We have Iceyy here. Make sure lower my mic, make sure my mic isn't too loud. So, first submission of today, we have Iceyy Beats with Adrenaline. So let's go ahead and listen to this beat. We're going to give our feedback, and we're going to check it out together, family. I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, and let's listen to this track. Alright, that was Iceyy with Adrenaline. Iceyy, now, you've submitted before, Iceyy, and I've told you about that drum bounce. You have great drum bounce, Iceyy. Like, as soon as that beat comes on, especially these rappers out here in Atlanta, and just you have that current current swag. Like, if you cut this beat on in the studio, you have rappers who, hopefully I'll be able to recover this. Just load that up. Sorry about that, guys. And shout out to Slein Beatz. Shout out to Slein Beatz. I am doing good. I'm doing good. All right, Zenix Beats, come on. Constructive criticism only. Only tips here. So only tips. If you have a tip, share that. Otherwise, let's keep our, just general opinions to ourselves. We got to keep the culture smooth here. If you agree with that, make sure you stick around. So, I really like that drum bounce. Really, especially producers out here in Atlanta, like I was saying, as soon as that cuts up, just the energy, the aggression. I can, let me go ahead and help you out. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and help you out. Sorry, guys. All right. There we go. All right. Yeah, my man's energy was a bit off. Sorry about that, man. Hopefully you can get your energy smooth. I just had to put you on timeout for a little bit, man. I want to keep the culture smooth. You know what I'm saying? Keep the culture smooth here. Constructive criticism only. And I can kind of tell you're going through something, my brother. You need to just breathe, go out, go for a walk, get that energy, get that energy out. I know where you're at mentally. Not mad at you, my brother, but please, take that elsewhere. If you can cool your head down, come back here. We're glad to have you back, man. So, anyway, back to your feedback, Iceyy. So let me start from the top. Apologize about that. I really like the drum bounce. It has that energy. If I'm in the studio and then there's rappers there, kind of in that trap lane, they have that aggression. They want to get that energy off. They're gonna really go for a beat like this. If we're in the studio together, you pull up that beat, I'd be sitting behind the chair with confidence, like, yeah, rapper's gonna definitely want to hop on that one. One thing that's getting me, speaking of working with rappers, one thing that's really getting me with that beat, and it's one thing I've been seeing lately, and that's the lack of dynamics. As we can see here, the waveform is like one block. So I like the texture that it's giving it. It's not crushing it too much, but if you can give yourself just a little bit more headroom, a little bit more dynamics, if you can even get on YouTube and check out, like, maybe you can find like a good Johnny Giuliano instrumental or Cardo instrumental that's been commercially released, and you can feel the dynamics, and you can even take a look at it in whatever DAW that you use, and then you can see the dynamics. You're going to be able to see all the space and the ups and the downs, and it's just going to make it a lot easier for us who do some of the recording to just get the rapper's vocals sitting on there. And that's really the main thing. I do like the texture of your beats and the drum bounce. Like I said, your drum bounce is crazy, man. That really stands out. All right. Looks like we got J-Zoe on the beat in the building. What's up to J-Zoe on the beat? All right. So we have another track here by Iceyy. This one is called Pink Parade. So let's go ahead and check out Pink Parade. We're going to take a listen, then we're going to give our feedback. So let's check it out, family.
Two hours later.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Iceyy with Pink Parade. All right, Iceyy, I enjoyed that beat as well. Good drum bounce as usual. But that one, I can definitely hear the master being overloaded. So the first one, it wasn't so bad. I audibly couldn't really hear it. But that one, I could tell whatever you're doing right now, however things look in your DAW on the master, you're getting all red, all in through here. If you can see right here on the screen, you're gonna be getting some all red all through here. The low end sub is just like you're bruising the master, and it's just it's gonna make it hard for the beat to really fill up a room whenever an artist is playing it out loud in the studio or anywhere with real nice speakers. We're just not gonna be able to hear the depth and the thickness of the sounds that you're actually trying to put into the beat. So it even made it hard for me to really feel all the instrumentation that you had going on, because the bass was just hitting and overloading and distorting the master so much. So if I can get for you once again to give yourself some headroom whenever you're mixing your beats and getting ready to bounce it down, give yourself some headroom. Don't let that low end just dip all the way into the red and, you know, squash your mix, and then, you know, it just takes away from our ability to feel the beat. So this was really more of a mixing critique than anything, because I could hear the instruments that are going on, but I couldn't really feel them because the 808 was just so much in the way. And once again, when I mute my mic, I start freestyling and I put myself in the seat of a recording artist who's just kind of freestyling and vibing to the music, and that kind of it interfered with the vibe of the beat. So if I can get for you to correct that, more than likely we're going to be able to feel what needs to be felt in that beat accurately. So yeah, you can use like Slein Beat said in the live chat, you can use FL Studio soft clipper or any soft clipper that you have. By the way, let's see here. If you do use FL Studio, you can use my free FL Studio patcher plugin. It is called FL Super Clipper, and I stand by it being far superior to the basic soft clipper. So you can clip your audio, you can go from soft clipping to hard clipping. Make sure you maintain the dynamics here, maintain the volume. You know, just because things are louder doesn't mean that they're actually improving. So you can make sure you keep yourself level set. Then also have this tone knob here, so you can kind of make sure the tone and the vibe of the sound actually stays in pocket. And of course, hit the power button to A and B the sounds. And this is 100% free at DesmondASounds.com. So I'm not charging you for this. I just want you guys to make great music. That one in particular was hard to make free because yeah, that one is fire. I still kick myself for making it free, but you know, it's already out there. DesmondASounds.com, 100% free. So, all right. Moving forward, we got ONESOUND Producer with My Mind. So we're going to go ahead and check out this sound. Let's check out this beat by ONESOUND Producer. It's called My Mind. We're going to listen to it and go ahead and give our feedback on it, family. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was ONESOUND Producer with My Mind. Great beat. Really getting some like island vibes going on. It's a lot of space. It's gonna be real easy for a songwriter to create a song just based on what you have right here at the moment. So producers have a habit of overfilling their beats, especially when it comes time to just sending and emailing beats out to artists and songwriters. But this is wide open for an artist or a songwriter to just do their thing, experiment with multiple melodies, experiment with harmonies, because there's so much space. So I want to compliment you on that. One thing, the bass line, I just heard an 808. If I can get for you to add a bass line, it doesn't have to be too expressive. Like I said, you kept things nice and open, but a nice smooth bass line just to kind of hit that low end a little bit, just to kind of pull in the groove a bit more. The drums are nice, the melody is nice, but if you can just have a nice bass line, just that's what I was hearing in my head. Something like that. So just adding a bass line to that, and maybe even like a light instrument, maybe a flute, just to kind of break up, or even like a string, just to break up the hook from the verse. That'll help out. Maybe like a little low pass filter to break up the verse from the hook, from the bridge. You don't have to do too much. It could be subtle, but those subtle things can help to excite the artist or songwriter to really dive into another section of the beat. But keeping it wide, it's preferable to have your beat wide open like this and then add the sounds later, as opposed to just cramming it with all kinds of leads and all kinds of sounds that you have just because you have them. So I want to compliment you on leaving the space, but I just, especially that bass line and maybe one sound to break up the hook from the verse. Those two things I think are going to take you a long way, and they could be subtle. They doesn't have to be too much. So shout out to you, ONESOUND Producer. That's a great beat. Make sure you submit for next Sunday. I'll be glad to check out your work. So, all right. I've just posted, but you can pretty much choose. All right. So, for J4V1D, and I believe Cookie, I'm not sure if Cookie submitted. I don't see Cookie here in the list. So if I can get for you to subscribe, as soon as this show is over, about 5 minutes, I'm going to open up the form so you can go ahead and submit your beats for next Sunday's show. I'll be glad to check it out. Glad to give you some feedback, give you some tips and tricks that you could put in your back pocket. So when you play those beats for your artists, for your songwriters, or even for your homies or other producers, you can use those tips to grow yourself and be an excellent producer, and you can grow. So as soon as this show is over, 5 minutes, show ends in about a little over 30 minutes. I'm going to make a YouTube community post as well. So if you subscribe, you'll see that YouTube community post. Go ahead and submit, and I'll be glad to help you out next Sunday. Moving forward, we have J-Zoe on the beat with Platonic. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to check out this beat by J-Zoe on the beat and give our feedback on it. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my line, and we're going to check it out. Hey, that was J-Zoe on the beat with Platonic. J-Zoe, man, really good drum bounce on that, man. That, you know who I thought of when I heard that beat? I thought of like Twista or like Crucial Conflict getting on that type of beat. So if you're able to get around like Chicago artists, that's gonna really put that kind of throwback energy in their mind. Like, okay, I'm feeling that Chicago, you know, that Twista adrenaline rush era type of bounce. So, I know Chicago, they're doing the drill and stuff like that, but if you're able to find a Chicago artist, man, I think this is gonna put them in a nostalgic kind of pocket mentally. So if you're networking with anybody, especially on Instagram, Chi-Town, something is telling me that they'll like this beat. One thing that kind of got me in the beginning was the relationship between the kick and the 808. I kind of felt like the kick and the 808 didn't really blend totally well together. Almost feel like if you can kind of cycle through your the different 808s that you have inside your DAW folder and just find one that relates to the kick a bit better. So you don't have to, I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of, you could try to add a saturator to that or some type of distortion, just a kiss of it on the 808 to see if it blends with that kick better. But I think what's going to help is just cycling through, just going through, keeping the kick, going through different 808s, and then saying, okay, this 808 relates to this kick better, and things are sitting in pocket a bit more. And that's really going to take things off, because it kind of threw me off in the beginning, and what I don't want is an artist to listen to this and not let it get to the point where the actual drop hits, because unfortunately these rappers are like next, I don't know about that one, next, and I want them to wait so they can hear the drop, so then they can start bouncing to the music like I did, if that makes sense. Also, that the string sound that you had, if I can just get you to take it down like maybe 1 dB, I just wanted to blend a bit more. So just take that it was like a string that I think is panned a little bit on the my right. I think that was actually the left side. I think it was panned to the left side. That string that you had, if you could just dial it back just a kiss, just a little bit. It's a little too overback. Just a kiss, literally just a kiss. That's going to make things feel more cohesive and together. But other than that, once the beat drops, more than likely the artist is just going to take off. And I like the melodies, that your melodies are relating to each other much better. I didn't feel, I'm feeling like I'm getting to your sound, like it's like gritty, but it has pretty elements to it, and it's working together. So shout out to you. I hear things developing. So yeah, but that's pretty much the only tips I have there. Everything else sounded smooth. Yep, everything sounded good. All right, and shout out to DMG, shout out to you. If I get for you to submit beats, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm gonna make a post. You can submit beats for next Sunday's show. Left, yeah. All right, so now moving forward, we're going to J-Zoe on the beats next track, which is Duct Tape and Ski Masks. Ooh, that's quite a name. So let's go ahead and check this out together.
J-Zoe on the beat, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was J-Zoe on the beat with Duct Tape Ski Mask. All right. So that particular beat, I'm definitely getting those NBA YoungBoy kind of vibes. It's the first vibe I got with the instrumentation that was selected. Um, One thing that was sticking out to me was the piano in the beginning when I could just hear it by itself. It sounded like some of the notes were kind of running into each other, like they were clashing into each other. So if I can get you to check the release on those piano notes, or you might have some of the blocks like on top of each other. If I can get for you to like either check the release on your DAW or kind of get the blocks to not be totally on top of each other because they're like clashing in a way that can throw off an artist from the onset. The rest of the beat, the bass, I feel like we need a different bass selection and also a different snare selection. Those two elements was also kind of taking me out of the vibe of the song. So if you're going for this style of beat, if I can get for you to kind of reference maybe 2 or 3 other beats with a similar vibe that you can find on YouTube or just a commercial release where you just hear the beat without the artist. And this is really a humbling tip because as producers, we tend to not, and I'm speaking for firsthand experience, we tend to not want to listen to other producers' stuff to get tips. You know, this is something that I really learned whenever I started recording artists and I started learning vocal mixing. I had to learn what makes a good vocal sound good. So I had to start the process of actually referencing a lot of professional vocal mixes so I can put that in my toolbox to work with artists. So if you can listen to like the snare selection that they have, the kick selection that they have, and the bass selection, and maybe go back into your DAW and kind of tighten up the selection of the snare, the kick, and the bass, I think that we're going to be on the right track. So it's really the main thing with that beat. I just kind of feel like I see what you're aiming for, but some of the elements need to have a different selection to actually hit that bullseye that I see that you're aiming for. All right. So yeah, guys, referencing is, I wish I would have did it earlier, but as producers, we're like rappers and, we want to feel like we got all the answers. So, all right. Yep. Got feedback there in the chat. But shout out to J-Zoe on the beat, sending those beats in, sending those tracks in. And I'll be glad to review more of your beats as you submit them moving forward. All right. Next beat here, we have Watch Out by MYNX MXTT. This also has Beatmonster KC on the co-production. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this track called Watch Out. Listen to it together. We're going to give our feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Watch Out by MXNY MXTT with production from Beatmonster KC on that as well. Now, that particular beat, first of all, it had great impact, great attitude, and great energy. A lot of attitude. Kind of puts me back in my football days when I was younger, and the music we used to turn up to before we run out on the field. You know what I mean? Speaking of that, I'm hearing these elements, and it's kind of putting me in a nostalgic kind of vibe. This is the era of music that I really came up in. That Shawty Red, DJ Toomp, that I want to say like a little bit like 2009, 2008, 2007. It's that era of Atlanta. It's really the sounds from like the Korg Triton and the Korg Trinity keyboards. And I can hear that. And I've heard certain producers kind of going for this sound as well. One thing to keep in mind with this style of production is, and I'm hearing it in this beat, has a lot of attitude, has a lot of good energy, but you want to watch for sounds getting cluttered and lacking clarity. So I feel like when you go back to your DAW, if you can find ways to just open up little pockets for this, so the sounds can have a bit more presence. It's like I'm not really hearing things like clearer. Certain things need to be clear, and everything's kind of feeling like mushed together. Not in a bad way, but if we just had this layer of clarity, we can really hit the bullseye on the sound that you're aiming for. So if I can get for you to look for the production that this is kind of aiming for. Look for that TI trap music era. You know, get those beats, get those instrumentals. If you can't find the instrumentals, just get the full songs. Maybe you can use a stem splitter to take out T.I.'s vocals and listen to how the engineer kind of has the sound sitting. You know, you want things to be, it has a lot of energy and attitude, but we also want things to be clear and have all the elements, you know, hitting in a way that actually is clear to the ears. So, and a big reason I say this, because if you play a beat like this, and then you play another producer plays a different beat, and it has a better mix on it, it can kind of throw off the room a little bit. Not saying this particular beat would do that, but this is just a general statement. Like a good mix on really big speakers in a larger studio with a good mix is just gonna grab everybody's energy and everybody's attention. So if I give you just tighten up those elements, you know, like the horns and the zap sounds, I feel like certain things just need to be opened up and clearer. We just need more clarity, you know. So hopefully that made sense. Slein says it sounds like a Detroit beat. Man, I'm from the South, man. Those elements that I hear, I instantly go to that T.I. Atlanta era. But yeah, Detroit does have those sounds as well. So shout out to Detroit. All right, moving forward, we have Qualified. Same producer. Another submission is MXNY MXTT, and looks like we got production with the Mosley brothers in addition to him. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this beat. We're gonna give our feedback together. So let's take a listen. Damn, that was a banger. That was qualified by MXNY, MXTT, in production with the Mosley brothers. Now, the reason why I turn up to that type of music and production so much personally is that's my lane of R&B, that R&B hip hop fusion for the modern era. That's my thing. That's the thing that gets me. And okay, I could hear artists like SZA on that. I could hear an artist like Summer Walker on that. Those two artists, and you got the sounds are just blended well together. Mix sound selection is great. The bounce is great. The drums are hidden. Plenty of space for the artists to hop in the booth, create their hooks, create their melodies, create their harmonies, their backing tracks, their ad libs. Plenty of space for them to do their thing, and the beat still hits hard and has a lot of emotion in it. So that's just my lane. That's how you get me with that style of R&B. So shout out to this producer, MXNY, MXTT, and the Mosley brothers. Great production. Any feedback I have on that? No, I don't have any feedback. It looks like you guys have breakdowns in the beat as well. It's going to be easy for a songwriter to write to this. I take it it doesn't look like you flood it with any additional sounds later and try to show off. An idea I have, maybe you guys could do like a guitar solo, like a You Got It Bad by Usher. Just you ain't got to do it. Just something that randomly hit my mind when I was listening to that. Maybe like a guitar solo, then the artist is kind of like speaking their mind about the situation that the song is touching on. That's just a part that they can. There's that one singer who always does that from back in the day. I forgot her name, but she's like almost like on the telephone, R&B singer. Yeah, so you could do that like a breakdown, kind of get the throwback vibes on that if you do that. So shout out to that producer. And moving forward, we have Slein Beatz with his submission. And this one is called Pain. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this beat and give our feedback together. So let's go ahead and take a listen. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Slein Beatz with Pain. Now that's another beat that you guys have been doing submissions that you guys have been doing submissions that are really easy for artists to get on. So if an artist was, looking for beats and kind of sifting through different beats, and they were like, I don't know what to select, and we put on a beat like that, this is a beat that I'm sure an artist could create a song to. It's nothing in this beat that's like, it's nothing in this beat that's gonna throw them off. You know what I'm saying? It's nice and smooth, a lot of wide openings. I'm hearing variations in the beat, so the artist will have an idea of where to jump in here, get out there. So, since this beat is so open, man, to me this is a slam dunk beat for. I'm in the studio with an artist. They want another beat. Pull up this beat, drop it in Pro Tools. I know for a fact they're gonna be able to write a song to it. So, shout out to you for that. Great mixing, kick, snare sound good. The bass is hitting. I still don't really believe that you're not an engineer, because your kick and bass relationship is serious, and you gotta have a good ear to have a good kick and bass relationship like that. So you must have a really good mixing environment. So you might have a treated room if I'm not wrong. hopefully I'm not wrong, but you probably have a treated room and some decent studio monitors. As far as any constructive criticism, man, to me this is a slam dunk beat. I would tell you to add like some low pass filters to break things up, but really honestly, if I'm working with an artist, I would just drop it into Pro Tools, and I'll just do the little low pass filters, the little drops by muting certain parts of the beat so they can keep rapping, then have the beat drop in and come back in. So I can't think of any constructive feedback for this one either, man. So shout out to you. This is a slam dunk beat. Can't think of anything else. I've searched for constructive criticism, so I couldn't really find anything there, man. So shout out to you. Yeah, definitely, Slein. I could tell. All right, moving forward, we have our next producer, which is JG Beatz 734 with Waiting. So let's go ahead and listen to this beat, give our feedback, check it out, and give our constructive criticism on this. So let's check it out together, family. Gentlemen, that was JG Beatz 734 with Waiting. Now, that particular beat, great sample choice, great ability to have one part of the sample and another part of the sample work off of each other, so an artist doesn't get bored because of the repetition of the sample. Some people have a hard time managing that, but you did a great job in that regard. One thing that was sticking out to me in that beat is getting that kick to sit, getting that kick to really hit and punch, and it could be a bit challenging due to the fact that you have a sample. So one thing you could do, I don't want to say use a dynamic EQ. That might be a bit much. If you know how to use a dynamic EQ, you can do that. If you don't know how to use a dynamic EQ, just go ahead and listen to the beat. Just listen to the beat, the kick with the sample, and then use your EQ to always talk about opening up little pockets. Just make sure that you have enough room in that particular frequency range so the kick to come through. So in the sample, just make sure that if I can get for you to even, you could even push up the EQ, and then listen where it's like the kick is totally, it totally disappears, and then you could just start to pull it back down, and then listen, okay, the kick is sitting better, and make sure you A and B. That's a big thing. So turn off the EQ, listen to how the kick sounds, turn on the EQ, listen to how the kick sounds, off, on, and then make sure that the kick is punching through and just hitting a bit harder. I want to say try a new kick, but before you do that, just go ahead and try to open up a little bit of a pocket in that sample so the kick can just cut through a bit more. You don't have to do a big super dip like this, just a light cut. And once again, make sure you A and B, on, off, on, off. Make sure you're actually improving it and not just changing it. So just make sure that that kick just punches through a bit harder. In the arrangement of the beat, the intro, you may want to shorten up the intro a bit more. You could even put like a low pass filter on it. I don't want to do too much here. You can even put a low pass filter on it so it kind of has contrast before the actual beat hits. Let's see if I can do it really quickly here without messing anything up. Let's see. Like, see? See, low pass filter sweeps like that are a good way to create contrast, and then have the beat hit a bit earlier. In my opinion, have a bit hit a bit earlier, because not every artist is gonna have the patience to sit through for the actual beat to hit from the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you might want to have the beat hit just a bit earlier. You can start with that low pass filter sweep, then have the beat hit a bit earlier. And I wasn't counting the bars, so I don't know if it was 12 bars or 16 bars, but just make sure that the beat is giving room for an artist to write a verse and a hook in a way that they're not kind of scrambling, like, because not every artist is going to take the time to learn the tempo and cut the beat the way that they want to. Some artists will come into the studio and like tell me like, hey, I need 4 more bars, pull it from here and then add it here, and then we will kind of like rearrange the beat in Pro Tools. So if you even like freestyle over the beat, maybe get an acapella, if you got a friend who raps or sings or anything like that, they can kind of help you arrange the beat and make sure nothing is jarring with that contrast between those two samples that are going on. Because I don't want an artist to, their vibe to be thrown off because one part of the sample comes in a bit earlier. So hopefully hopefully you have the ability to do that. So yeah, so shout out to you. Great sample choice, nice vibe, nice energy, smooth sample. I am definitely partial for samples. So, oh, you're here in the chat. So shout out to you. Shout out to JG Beats 734 in the chat. Shout out to you. Make sure you keep submitting, and I will enjoy continuing to give you feedback and helping you in your production journey. So moving forward, have another beat. The same producer. It is called This Time. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen and give our feedback together, family. So let's go ahead and listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was JG Beatz 734 with This Time. Shout out to JG Beatz. So, that beat, one thing I'm liking about your production is your ability to select samples, and you have a way of selecting complementary parts of the sample. So you'll have one part of the sample, it has a certain type of energy, and you'll know how to contrast it with another part of the sample that kind of, it takes the artist in different moods and different spaces without being jarring and kind of like a big shock in a way that's too much and it's not pleasing to the ears. And not every producer has that skill, especially producers who are new to sampling. So that tells me that you've probably been sampling for quite a while to have the skill set to do that, the contrasting selection of the sample and putting it together in that type of way. As far as feedback, I wanna point out that the intro is a bit long, but depending on the artist that you're working with, you may be able to get away with it. If it's a newer artist that's never heard of you, they may not be as patient. But if they're an artist you work with, like and somebody you know around the way, they'll more than likely have more patience. But I don't know. For some reason, this particular beat, I feel like the artist will more than likely sit through the intro. Just a random hunch. I just have a hunch that an artist will be able to sit through this intro a bit more. One thing is, whenever I was listening to the beat and I was listening to the drums in relationship to the sample, there's certain parts of the sample that sounds like it's going a bit quick. Like it's the that part was going. Make sure that the speed of the sample doesn't move so quickly that it throws off the bounce of the drums. And this is something that would happen to me when I first started sampling, is putting drums on and not having the sample totally in time with the drums, because I was kind of trying to get everything that I had in my head out. So if I can get for you to listen to the beat, and if you feel there's a part where the sample is just going a bit too quick, I don't know what DAW that you're using, but if you could try to time stretch it just a little bit so it's not moving in a way that throws off the bounce where the artist can really get into the mood of the beat. Um, that's one thing that, you know, I have this program. I don't know if you use hardware or software, but I'm a big proponent of this particular program. Um, Serato sample. Hopefully it'll load for us. Um, and the reason I'm a big fan of Serato sample, if it'll load for us, um, if it doesn't, I can still just go ahead and explain. So in Serato sample, it gives us the ability to time stretch individual chops. So you don't have to necessarily stretch the entire waveform itself. You can let me see if I can just grab something here really quickly. Serato sample. Real quick. Discord loops. All right. Now, everybody, if you're not in my Discord, make sure you check out my Discord. Got plenty of great loop makers in there. Desmond A Sounds. Just look me up on Discord. The Discord is also going to be in the description. So you can subscribe to my Discord, get some loops, and use it for your beats. So, I was actually one of the first people to use Serato sample. And one of the big reasons that I got Serato sample was for this reason, was due to the fact that I can use this time stretch option here. So, if I'm making a beat, and let me make another chop just so it makes more sense. So if I'm making a beat and I'm listening to the drum swing, and the drum swing is just a little is a little bit off because of the these samples are using live instrumentation. Is using real musicians. They don't necessarily play directly to the metronome. So one thing you could do on Serato sample here is use time stretch. So your beat is playing and you can use time stretch for one individual part of the sample that's kind of throwing off the bounce and the relationship of the sample to the drums. You can stretch it out here and then just keep listening to the beat. So that's one of the reasons this VST is a game changer. It's one of the first people to get it. And this is a big reason why. It's that time stretch, because back in the day, we used to have to do a million chops, but now you could just use the time stretch feature here and make sure everything is locked in. So I don't know if you use Serato sample, but if you don't, I definitely recommend it because it's going to help out in those situations. And sometimes it's like it could be a little iffy with the sample and the drums, but with Serato sample, if you just hit it, you can even hit it like 1% or 2%. You're like, whoa. That's it totally locks in. You know, the bounce is totally there. So, you know, once again, real musicians in these samples, they're not playing to a grid. You know, they're not playing the bass directly to a grid. You know, so the timing and the swing fluctuation, they're definitely going to be there. So if I can get you to just tighten that up a bit, should be good to go. Also, in your snare selection, if I can get you to maybe experiment with just different snares, you know, sometimes we get comfortable with our certain snares, certain claps. I'm guilty of that too, so no judgment from me. But just experiment in your sound folder. If you are comfortable with a certain snare, just kind of keep going through, keep sorting through. You never know what could have a good relationship with the beat that you never expected. Maybe the clap or the snare sounds okay in isolation, but when you actually add it to the beat, it's like, woo, it's like magic. It actually, you know, it does what it needs to do. So don't be afraid to experiment with the snare selection. So, all right. We are, looks like that's the last selection. That's the last beat of the day. So shout out to all the producers who submitted their beats to the Heat Check show. I am super appreciative. I thank everyone for submitting this week. I am still editing the podcast. So the podcast, I'm aiming for the last Thursday of June to go ahead and release it. But of course, I'm going to make an announcement on the Heat Check show whenever I have everything. I'm just getting all my my ducks in the row with getting the podcast all the different programs and whatnot. And I'm doing a lot of editing and scheduling more interviews. So my podcast is going to be coming out soon. Interviews with producers. Going to have interviews with songwriters, engineers. I already have a couple producers down. It's a lot of really good information, man. Really good information. The game definitely needs this type of content. So, yes, you are welcome, JG Beats 734. You are welcome. You are most definitely welcome. And feel free to continue to submit to the Heat Check. I'll be opening up the forum for submissions yet again for next Sunday's show. After this show closes, the show ends. Just give me about 5 minutes. I'm going to open up the forum. You guys can make your submissions. So, once again, make sure you guys check out my Discord. Plenty of great loop makers. DesmondASounds.com. You can get free loops. Have my FL Studio Patcher plugins, Super Clipper, D-Bass, and FL Magic for all the FL Studio users. And yes, those plugins are 100% free, so you can use it for your music production needs. And the only way the show can work is if it continues to grow. So tell a friend to tell a friend. The different message boards, the different discourse that you on. Encourage people to submit their beats so we can work and continue to network with each other. Yes, indeed, Slein, the podcast is going to be crazy. Once again, aiming for the last week in June. It's going to be out. Got to pick a date. Thinking that Thursday, but I will keep you guys up to date. And, of course, making an announcement everywhere. So, all right. And that wraps it up, man. Another Sunday. Another exciting show. Great music, man. I loved all the submissions that you guys give me the opportunity to listen to. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out the Heat Check. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you guys for coming through. I'm Desmond A. Make sure you subscribe. Everybody have a safe and a great week, and I'll see you next time. Peace.